On this episode, Andy and John discuss the John Cena polar bear extravaganza and ironically named Doolittle. Welcome to The Road Home on Film.
Alright, well, we're headed home from another week at the movies. My name's Andy, coming to you live to tape from the road home from Wrestling World Mobile Headquarters of the world, and I got John in the front seat. What up, John?
Guys, I don't say this often, but I think I might have saw the best movie of the year already.
Well, you know what I think of that? That's what I think of that.
That is bullshit and monkey.
Yeah, I just flipped you off with my flipper, John, okay? We saw Doolittle tonight, and Doolittle is a movie about Dr. Doolittle, but just like in wrestling, we can't call it Dr. Doolittle, we have to just call it Doolittle, you know what I mean? Which is I don't know if you noticed this, but in the intro, that British gentleman did make a comment about how that's a very ironic name for this movie, because I would say that this movie does little, you know?
Yeah, it didn't do much.
Okay. So we're going to get into the character of Dr. Doolittle, what that is, and set this all up. But let's give some opening thoughts just to kind of whet the appetite of how we're going to get through this movie. I hated this movie, John. I hated it. It was fucking awful. Now, I have a really good way to explain this, though. Do you remember the Lord of the Rings movies?
Yes.
Okay, you remember how awesome they were, right?
Yes. Even though I fell asleep twice during the Two Towers, I still loved it.
Okay, those are great movies, right? Because they kind of put the story above the action, you know, and the action served the story. And even when Legolas was doing some of the ridiculous shit that he was doing, being a superhero, it was like, okay, that's kind of for the kids. I get it, right? Well, then, did you see the Hobbit movies?
I did.
Those were terrible.
You know what was so terrible about them?
I was about to tell you, but go ahead.
So The Hobbit is the shortest book of this, franchise. And why the fuck was it extended into 3 movies?
Ching, ching, ching. That's why. Well, I was about to say that movie, the action does not serve the storyline at all. In fact, it's just there for giggles. I don't know why it's there. And so you have these absurd action scenes, and that's kind of what pissed me off. Not the most, but one of the biggest things that pissed me off in this movie. For example, a kid has to go from one side of the room to the other. Okay? That's the action that's going on in the scene in this movie. So he could walk. He could ride on one of the animals. Okay, right? You know?
That wouldn't be very fun.
No. We have to have him do 60 flips in the air, jump off one of the trees, slide underneath a bed, over top of the bed, then he rides an animal, then he walks. You know, it's like that is what this movie is. It's fucking terrible action. Awesome, just awful action, and I'm angry about it. I'm sorry. I am angry that I saw this movie. This movie made me very angry.
We do it for you guys.
John, what are your opening thoughts about Doolittle?
I didn't understand why we were getting this movie. Partially because we already have an established Dr. Doolittle in the form of Eddie Murphy. And so why did we need to whitewash it and put Robert Downey Jr. in this? Just saying. Like Disney, another Disney money grab is what we have here.
Yes.
And unfortunately, this money is not going to be grabbed because the theater we were in, it seats 120 people. When I bought the tickets at 1 o'clock for our 6 o'clock showing, 4 people had already bought tickets. When we got there, 21 people had purchased tickets for this movie, which is opening night at Prime Real Estate showing, 6 o'clock. And there were 21 people in this theater.
Yeah, go ahead.
I literally counted them. And you could really say that there was 20 people because there was a guy and a girl couple where the guy, I'm pretty sure, was inside the girl at some point in the movie. So 2 became 1 in that situation.
But they did buy 2 tickets.
Yes,
so
they
to
did
be
buy
fair.
2 tickets.
They were trying to become 1. This is not related, but I have a really great story about that, about making out in the movies, right? I know, I'm sorry, we'll get to Doolittle at some point here, but we're going to do everything we can to not talk about this movie, probably.
We're doing our best to entertain you for a movie that did not entertain us.
Yeah, this was a shitty movie. There were 2 jokes that were awesome I definitely want to talk about, but other than that, I don't care about talking about any of the rest of it. Okay, so when I was a kid, I think I was 13 years old, I was dating this girl, and her name was Lacey Montgomery. Lacey Montgomery. Can you imagine how beautiful a girl named Lacey Montgomery is, right? She was the hottest chick in school, all right? And I was dating her, and I couldn't believe it. And one night, me and her parents went to see a movie. Now, this was
she there?
She was.
Okay.
I'll get there, John. So her parents and her, yes, her whole family, basically, we all went to go see a movie. And we went to go see the Flintstones movie starring John Goodman, okay, which was terrible. So
I remember this from my childhood. I had the Burger King or McDonald's like glass cups that they sold at the restaurants.
It's a glass cups. It's the worst idea ever. So I wanted to make out with this chick. That's why I was there, right? So, I was punching above my weight class. I'm going to get everything I can out of this while I can. Yeah. So we waited till her parents sat down, and then we sat down behind them, right? Mm-hmm. So there was some heavy petting going on, let's just say. I was trying to become one with her, all right? And
As the kids say, you guys were getting freaky.
Yeah, and she was trying to become one with me. It was amazing. It was great stuff. And towards the end of the movie, a hand claps onto my shoulder. And I look behind me, and it's her father and her mother who had moved behind us right after the movie started and had sat there and pretty much just watched us make out the whole movie, all right? So he walks me, he puts his hand, claps his hand over my neck, like someone would do, and walks me out of the theater into the car. We sit there, he drops me off at home, and not a word is said on the way home, all right? It was terrifying. I thought he was going to kill me. However, totally worth it. Lacey Montgomery was hot as fuck. So,
did you talk to Lacey again after that?
I did, yes. Oh, yeah, me and Lacey had many encounters after that. Some romantic, some not romantic at all. One night, I got her and her friend, this is awesome, to play strip poker with me, and they ended up naked, and somehow I didn't. It was awesome, Good times.
13-year-old Andy.
Oh man, I was a Mac Daddy. It was the best. I miss it so much. I don't know what happened. But yeah. So John, any stories about making out in the theater?
No, I mean my best movie theater story is I snuck an entire combo meal for McDonald's in my jacket, like a quarter pounder, medium fry, drink, everything. I sat there, I ate it, and then I fell asleep and didn't catch the rest of the movie. Oh, it was shitty. It was Gangster Squad with
that's not good.
Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone and some other person.
So this was recently that you did this?
I mean, it was back in high school, college. So probably college. Yeah.
You went to high school, college?
By
the way, we need to make a movie, high school, college. You know what I mean? That would be great. So, all right. So the character. Let's go into the character of Dr. Doolittle. So Dr. Doolittle. This is actually a really cool story. The character of Dr. Doolittle, here's how he was created, okay? There was a man, a British man, all right, and I don't remember his name, I'm not going to look it up. You'd look it up if you want. He is the author of the books, Dr. Doolittle. And what happened was he was a soldier in World War I, all right? Now, we recently both saw the movie 1917, right? And that let us know that there are terrible things that happened in World War I, right? Really bad things.
There were.
By the way, if you ever want to learn more about World War I highly recommend the podcast Hardcore History. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. He has a whole thing. It's called Countdown to Armageddon. It's like a five-part series about it. It's fucking amazing. Anyway, so this soldier, he has a family at home, and he writes letters to his kids and his wife and stuff, but he doesn't want to write, when things are really bad, people are getting killed right and left, he doesn't want to talk about that. Right. So he decides to start writing these little stories about this doctor who could talk to animals, and that's how it started. The first book was published in 1920, and he wrote those books all the way up into 1957. And then it's a lot. There's a ton of them. There's he goes to Africa, he does all kinds of shit, I don't know. I actually listened to the first audiobook today. which was very British and very hokey and stuff like that. But it was cool. You know, it was cool to kind of do the little research and everything and find out about it. I don't know why I said it that way. So that's really cool. Now, then there was a movie made in 1967, all right, which is kind of the standard that most people think of, well, probably not anymore, what Dr. Dolittle is. And then there was the Eddie Murphy movies that came out 20 years ago or 15 years ago or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Now we get this. John, we want to talk about the actors and see how we thought they did and all that?
Well, I figured I would do the synopsis real quick from IMDb.
Yes, please.
This is literally verbatim the synopsis from IMDb.
Let's see.
A physician discovers that he can talk to animals.
By the way, that's not what happened in this movie.
That does not describe the movie.
No, he already knows how to talk to animals when we meet him.
Like, he didn't discover it.
No.
He was already doing it. That is the official synopsis.
Now, in the books, it's not magic. He's taught to talk to the animals by the animals themselves, right? Which is how he talks to them in this movie. But then at the end, we get all kinds of magic, weird shit, and it's like, what the fuck's this doing in this movie? But that's kind of this movie. What the fuck's this doing in this movie is kind of... Now, John, why are we reviewing this for the Road Home from Wrestling podcast, a podcast about pro wrestling?
So we are reviewing it because one of the stars of the show, who has so many lines, and very good ones at that, bro, it is John Cena, who is playing Yoshi, a polar bear, who wears a beanie.
John, what do you think of John Cena?
I like John Cena.
Yeah?
I like to boo John Cena.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
He likes it now, Well, not now,
he is making his triumphant return.
Is he really? When?
Well, we did Play You with Fire with the other John Cena movie we had to block out of our minds.
He's making his triumphant return to the podcast. I thought you meant the WWE. I was like, oh, good. And they're like, no.
Yeah, you really marked out there.
I like John Cena. I think he's tremendous. He's very entertaining, and that's something that's severely lacking from the WWE right now. And the fact that I want John Cena to return just goes to show you how terrible their product is right now. So, but I mean... what's your favorite John Cena match?
Favorite Cena match? I feel like I always was entertained for the most part by him and Randy Orton's matches, their feuds.
They had a couple.
I know you don't really like Randy Orton that much. I feel like there was like a last man standing match where Cena... Or it was I think it was an I Quit, where Cena literally took off the bottom rope and then used it to choke Orton out and get him to quit.
Okay.
Like, you put him in the STFU and used the bottom rope to choke him out and get him to quit.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Okay.
What about you?
My favorite John Cena match is the one that he had with Brock Lesnar. I think it was at SummerSlam where Brock Lesnar just destroyed him. That was my favorite one, man.
He German suplexed him 16 times.
Yeah, and then just that was the greatest thing ever, man.
Cena got zero offense in that
It's like
match.
the first time ever that John Cena, got buried. It was awesome. I loved it. Also, fun fact, if you aren't aware of this, there was a really fun feud with John Cena and Ron Killing's, what's his name in WWE? He's a 24/7.
R-Truth?
R-Truth, yes. R-Truth, and that was the whole Little Jimmy thing when R-Truth was a heel. That's tremendous stuff, right? So Cena's very entertaining. He didn't do shit in this movie. He said like eight lines maybe. And tell us, what was the kind of theme of John Cena's character?
Well, he was a big, lovable polar bear that was always cold, and he wanted to just get warm. And he also wanted to have friendships, which warms his heart, because it was cold, because he didn't have any true friendships.
But he also, just like every other character in this movie, wanted to make jokes that are for a 2020 audience, not for a movie. I mean, this movie takes place in the 1900s, like in 1920 or whatever, right? And we get
very current.
we get a lot of jokes that are like memes and stuff, and it was like, what? I don't know.
Let's get into some other actors.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the actors. Who was the star of the show, John?
Like, really the star of the show?
No, who was the main
The
character
main
in the
character?
movie?
Okay, I thought you wanted like who I thought was the star
We'll
of the
get
show.
there. Yeah, we'll get there.
Robert Downey Jr. was
Yeah.
playing Dr. John Doolittle.
Okay, so what do you think of Robert Downey Jr.?
Uh, he's okay. I mean, he's been very enjoyable as Tony Stark in the Marvel franchise, but like other than that, I feel like I personally can't think of many other movies he's been in.
Really? Okay.
I mean, I'm sure he's been in a lot. I know he had his little. He was in the Outsiders, wasn't he? Back in the day. I feel like everybody was in the Outsiders.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, because he played. He wasn't Pony. Was he Pony Boy?
I don't remember. It's been like 20 years, 30 years since I've seen that movie.
That was like one of my favorite books to read in high
yeah, I
school.
need to watch that again because that's a great movie, right? I mean, everyone loves that. Okay, well, I love Robert Downey Jr. when he's in great movies. He's in one of my favorite film noir movies of all time, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Val Kilmer. Fat Kilmer, by the way. Good times. A tremendous movie. He's in a lot of good stuff. He was a great actor, and then he kind of had this, like, problem where he got caught with, like, a transgender prostitute or something like that.
He was, like, doing drugs and...
Yeah, he had a lot of problems with stuff like that. And he kind of fell off the radar, right? And then he came back with the whole, I think it was the Iron Man, well, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang put him back on the map, and then, because I think he won an Oscar or something like that for it, or that movie won Best Picture, maybe? I'm not sure. It was a really, really good movie, and so that put him back on the map, and then, of course, he is Iron Man, which most people know him from. Now, little known fact, another wrestling tie-in. His father is Morton Downey Jr., okay, who was like a talk show host in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and he, maybe 70s and 80s, and he was famous for one thing, John. Do you know what that is?
The choke slam.
No. Choke slam? What the fuck are you talking about?
You said it was wrestling related,
It
so I
is,
was like,
it is.
okay, well...
He smoked. That was his gimmick, is he smoked all the time.
Okay.
So at WrestleMania 5, we had a Piper's Pit segment with Roddy Piper, and Morton Downey Jr. was actually the guest, and he just keeps blowing smoke in Roddy Piper's face, and Roddy Piper like whoops his ass. So that's like the
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah. So Morton Downey Jr. died of lung cancer. What
Shocker.
the fuck? How'd that happen? That's weird.
Smoking.
Yeah, probably. You know, I guess turns out that he's not an animal, so Doolittle couldn't fix him. You know.
Yeah.
Who else is in this movie, John?
We'll just do some quick hits. Antonio Banderas is in this.
He's a Desperado. You know, I loved him in Desperado.
He's a random king of like some island that they get to really quickly.
Yes,
We'll learn
weird.
about that.
Weird.
Michael Sheen.
Yeah, Michael Sheen rules. He's like a bit actor that is awesome in everything he does. Like, check him out. Look up Michael Sheen, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, okay, oh, yeah, he was good. Oh.
I've seen it before. I just can't, like, pin where I've seen it before.
Yeah, but he's in lots of stuff. I don't remember either. But
We had Jessie Buckley, which I don't think you know. You're not really hip to her, are you?
no, I don't know who the fuck that is.
She was the queen that was, like, dead in the bed.
Okay, so this queen, by the way, just laid in a bed the whole movie. And even when she got saved at the end, she still laid in the bed. What a sweet gig.
She literally, she probably had bed sores from laying in the bed so
They had
much.
to put that shit on her leg, the little, the compressor things that,
Yeah.
turn off and on.
She only took sponge baths. It was the whole 9 yards.
Little ice chips and stuff.
Yeah, Jessie Buckley, I know her from Chernobyl. She was one of the main, kind of like side characters in that. So I guess she wasn't a main, she was a side character. And then she was in one of my favorite movies of last year called Wild Rose.
Okay.
Where she's like she's from Ireland, so she's like an Irish country singer who wants to make it to Nashville because she feels like she was born in the wrong place. And
Oh, I'm going to Nashville, you know.
it's a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. It should have been up for Best Original Song, but fucking Oscars. He had Emma Thompson.
Okay, and she was the parrot.
Yes.
Right? And also kind of the narrator. And I often was wondering to myself, because she would be in a scene talking, and then she would just be narrating, and we're like, who's she talking to? What?
Us?
Yeah,
She's talking to us?
That was really weird.
Rami Malek. Is it Rami? Remy?
I don't know. Mr. Robot.
Yeah. He was Chi-Chi.
Yeah, all the
The gorilla.
animals have terrible names. So their names are awful.
So he was the gorilla.
Okay, so he was the gorilla, and the gorilla was scared.
He had like anxiety issues, which is totally like a thing. But like he's just a really big guy, and it was funny because you didn't expect him to be anxious.
He had an arc, and what's funny is that his arc was completed like 30 minutes into the movie, and then it's like, well, now what?
Let's put him in the side.
Right.
Bring John Cena to the front. Right. It's time for his story arc. We had Octavia Spencer. She was the goose.
Okay. Goose, you mean the duck?
It's goose, duck.
It was a duck.
It was a goose because she was white.
Yeah, there's white ducks, John. In fact, the Aflac duck is a duck, and you were like, hey, it's the Aflac duck. I wish that was the Aflac duck, is what you said in the theater.
I don't know. I legitimately thought that gooses were white and ducks were like that.
That's not true. And in fact, gooses are white like Canada gooses or whatever. They're white when they're born, and they turn like, gray or whatever when they get older.
Huh.
Yeah, white ducks exist. That's a thing.
So my hair when I was born was like bright blonde.
Towhead, yeah.
And now it's brunette.
There you go.
Dark brown.
Just like a swan. Actually, swans are black when they're born, then they turn white, so that's the other way
Another
around.
fun name to try and figure out, making their triumphant return as well.
Yes.
Kumal Nanjiani.
He was the sidekick in Stuba, which was fucking terrible too. So, but that movie at least like made sense. This movie is nonsense. Like the pacing, pacing in this movie, John.
He played the ostrich.
Yes.
Then we had Tom Holland, who is the current Spider-Man. He was Jip, who was like a dog.
Racist as fuck. Yeah, can't.
Well, no, it's JIP.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't think it was that in the books. I think it was just racist in the book.
Yeah, he plays a dog that is in this movie very minimally.
Yeah, the dog like shows up. Is like, hey, I'm gonna be one of the main characters. Oh, hanging out with the queen, laying in the bed for the rest of the movie.
Actually, I want to lay in the bed too.
See you later, movie. I'll be right here.
Arguably the best character in the movie was Craig Robinson, who was playing Kevin the Squirrel.
Yeah. Kevin the Squirrel had a couple great moments. He had a couple really terrible moments too. But yeah, Kevin the Squirrel was pretty funny.
And then just the last two quick ones, you had Selena Gomez playing Betsy the giraffe. Did you have a favorite Selena Gomez song?
The one where she's just the one.
You know which one's my favorite? Thank you for asking. Was Love You Like a Love Song.
I didn't ask because I don't care, because I don't even know who that is. So, I mean, wasn't she in Spring Breakers?
She was.
She's just like in a bikini the whole fucking movie? Okay, now I remember.
Spring Breakers was such a stupid movie.
I love that movie. It's so... Look at my shit.
When I saw Spring Breakers, I was like, for real, Spring Breakers, even though it came out in like February. So I was drinking heavily at the Holy Grail across the river.
Get it.
And then my buddy was like, hey, you want to go see a movie? And I was like, yeah, I want to go see a movie. Because I'm always down to see a movie.
I'm aware.
So we came over to like an 11 o'clock screen at Spring Breakers. I literally got up in the middle of the movie, went and puked in the bathroom, and then went back and finished
That's
the
a
movie.
perfect movie for that,
I
though.
know!
Because, I mean, that's like, it's party time, man. That movie is weird. It's so weird.
It's honestly one of James Franco's best, movies.
It's tremendous. It's great. I love it. There's a scene where he's, like, sitting there and he's being all prophetic and he's playing a piano and he starts playing, like, a Britney Spears song and he's like, she's, like, the greatest of all time and all this shit. It's like, this is what these people really think. It's amazing. So, yeah, look at my shit. Look at my shit on YouTube and watch that video. That's fucking hilarious. So, somebody made a little song out of that scene.
Okay.
It's pretty funny.
And then we'll just make this our last actor we're going to talk about. Ralph Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes.
Whatever.
The Fiennes brothers, Joseph Fiennes and Ralph Fiennes, have been in many, many great movies. I can't tell them apart, but you know him as the one who must not be named, right?
Yeah, Lord Voldemort.
Shh, you're not supposed to name him.
Well, I like my wand that I got from Universal Studios has like a snake with a skeleton on it, so like it feels like I can say his name.
Okay.
Even though I'm a Hufflepuff, it's whatever. Know what that is. So Hufflepuff is a house in Harry Potter.
Okay, I don't know which Fiennes it is, but if you guys,
Ralph.
I think it's Ralph. but it might be Joseph, but there is a movie you've got to see, all right? While we're talking about this shitty movie, I have to tell you about a good movie. It's called In Bruges, all right? And it's starring Colin Farrell and one of the Fiennes brothers. It is fucking awesome. It's an awesome movie. If you don't think Colin Farrell's a good actor, watch that and you'll be like, oh my God, I had no idea. He's incredible. Awesome. Check that shit out.
I'm sorry that I offended you.
Dude, In Bruges.
Colin Farrell's not great.
In Bruges. It's amazing. So, and also he's in Seven Psychopaths, made by the same director. Amazing shit. Anyway, okay, so those are the actors. I feel like that we missed somebody, because there was somebody that was just awful that we missed here.
I mean, it was most
we missed Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg is the bad guy. And,
no, that was, Michael Sheen.
Michael is the bad guy?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought it was Simon Pegg. Man, it looks just like Simon Pegg. What the fuck?
Not all British people look alike, Andy.
Okay, well, that guy was great. Yeah, like I said, he was great. So
I mean, we missed Jason
Mantzoukas. Yeah, he was a terrible dragonfly that was a piece of shit. Okay, wow, I got fooled. That's interesting. So, okay, well, let's talk about the plot. Okay, so the movie opens up. We got this young boy who he's being forced to hunt by the best actor in the entire movie, who plays his father.
Bar none.
This guy is amazing. He's in the movie The Witch. He's like the main character in that movie. Tremendous movie, by the way. And so he has taken his son, who doesn't want to hunt, right? So we get we get a little character development maybe at the beginning, but it's like kind of just, we're dropped in the middle of everything in this movie. It's just like,
literally,
just shit just happens, and there's no reason for it. It just kind of fucking happens. So he is hunting ducks, not geese, John, ducks. And so,
well, I knew they were ducks because of the way they looked.
So he's trying to shoot this duck, but he had noticed this little squirrel up in the CG squirrel, by the way. Everything's fucking CG in this movie, up in the tree, and he accidentally shoots the squirrel. And this was kind of the most fun I had in the movie, because what happens with the squirrel, John, and what did we all think? Everyone, even the audience, except for the people that were fucking each other like two seats down, everybody else thought the same thing. What was this, John?
So the little boy is just so disheartened that he shot this squirrel, so he puts it in his little, like, satchel, and he wraps it up in a cloth, and, like, the squirrel is bleeding before he wraps it up.
It's dying. It's
like, literally dying.
It's in pain.
And he puts it in there, he stuffs it in there, and then locks it, and then for some reason, Emma Thompson, the parrot, like, swoops in, and she's like, "Human, follow!" And we're like, "What? Human, follow!" And so he starts following her. And then he gets to the Doolittle mansion estate, and he knocks. Because, a big old gate. Someone's going to answer. So he knocks, and the parrot's like, "Human, follow." I'm getting pretty good at that.
No, it's not good. Yeah.
It's good to me.
No.
So she takes him through this little secret hole. And, if you want to get... Okay, so he goes to the secret hole, and then he opens up into this field of Doolittle's, like, animal safari.
Yeah, it's fucking elephants and
so,
shit, right?
And so the whole time, the squirrel is inside this little, like, satchel, just bouncing around, bleeding out, because it's been shot. And so he's, like, running to here, and he's running to there, and then he encounters John Cena, the polar bear. He gets trapped in a net, and still the squirrel is dying inside of this, like, satchel, and he's, like, running and jumping and skipping and playing. And, and so, like, we go on for a good 10 minutes, just like my explanation.
Get to the joke about the blood! Come on!
So obviously with him, like, running around so much, like, blood should be seeping outside of his satchel. Like, screw the little fabric that you wrapped it in. That is now blood-soaked, and as is the rest of the purse that you have him in. And there's a kid that's, like, down below us. He's like, he should have bled out by now.
You were like, this bag should be just a bag full of blood. And another, like, plot contrivance that's hilarious is that we see those gates open later in the movie, and they open right to the fucking front door, basically, right?
Yeah.
Of the giant mansion he lives in. And when he crawls through the little hole, which is right next to the gate, it's a giant field with
totally
elephants and shit. Like, what the fuck is this? This movie has no geography. It doesn't make any sense. And you said, John, before we started watching it, there were 5 different scriptwriters, and that was obvious. There were jokes like the tone of this movie shifts from joke to joke to joke. It's like, what? You know?
Yeah, not good.
Now, before we forget, I want to tell the two jokes that were funny. Okay, one of them was this comes up right now. So basically, we find out that Dr. Doolittle or Doolittle, he's kind of become, like Howard Hughes. His nails are long, his hair is long, and he's become feral basically because at the very beginning of the movie there was a cartoon that showed us that his girlfriend died or whatever, right?
I wish it would have stayed in cartoon.
That would have been awesome. The cartoon was pretty cool. So, his girlfriend died, so he just can't live anymore, so he's just going to live with these animals, and he stopped treating everyone except for the animals that are living there, right?
Yes.
So he's no longer treating anybody, and so this little kid is like, oh, but you got to treat him. But there's also a little girl, because we got to throw 50 things at you at once. There's also a little girl who's been sent by the queen, because the queen sent her heir, who is also a little girl, to go do something very important with no guards whatsoever. So why was she there, John?
I don't know how she got in the gate that Homeboy couldn't get in.
She was just in there, yeah.
She, stumbles upon him trapped in the net. He's like, hey, can you get me down? And she's like, sure.
Yeah.
So
she was adorable, by the way. The little girl did a great job. She was awesome.
Yeah. And so she helps get him down. They get to the window. She goes in the front door because the boy and the ape, or the gorilla that is terrified of everything. He's too scared to play chess as well.
He just starts screaming.
They start screaming at each other, then the gorilla passes out, and the little boy's like, oh my god, what's going on?
And then if that joke wasn't enough, they did it twice, then they did a third time, fuck off.
And then the girl makes it in, and then the gorilla shuts the door, and then the girl somehow makes it inside the house, and she finds Doolittle, and then the little boy bursts through a window, and he's like, I got squirrel, it's done.
Yeah, so basically the little girl, she wants to, the queen is sick, but the only person that can fix her is the animal doctor? Wow, what is this, John? Doesn't make any sense. So she wants Dr. Doolittle to save the queen, right, who is laying in a bed, as we said before, because, that equals sick in this movie. All right, that's the...
Listen, it's like the 1900s. They definitely, if you were in bed, you're dying.
Right. Well, they were giving her leeches and shit, which, that's funny. But, anyway, so, the thing I'm leading up to is that eventually Dr. Doolittle is talked into saving the squirrel. The squirrel is what is the key to getting him to kind of wake up from his little, issue that he's having, right?
Yeah.
So he saves the squirrel. There's this, unnecessary... passing through the glass camera move that's fucking stupid. There's all kinds of stupid shit going on. His house looks more like Pee Wee Herman's house than it does anything. There's all kinds of contraptions and inventions everywhere. He wasn't an inventor. He's a doctor. What the fuck is this?
But you know what I loved? I loved the little mouse train that was on the ceiling.
It was pretty cool, but what is it? Why?
It was cute.
Because it's delightful, So anyway, he saves the squirrel, and the squirrel wakes up. And this is one of the best jokes of the movie.
Oh, for sure.
He has a flashback where he sees everything happen with the shooting and everything. His whole life flashes before his eyes, and it's like very artistic and amazing. Where you get these flashes of this demonic kid shooting him or whatever.
There's like a western scene awesome. That pops up,
and then the film melts, which I don't know if you've ever been to an actual theater where that happened. I've had that happen before.
I've had it happen before.
It's hilarious. So the film melted, and then he wakes up, and he realizes his mission in life is to now, avoid the squirrel killer, as he calls him, which is the child, and get his revenge, right? So he wants revenge. So that was funny. The other joke that I thought was really funny was it's just a random thing. Like the bad guy's on a ship, and he takes a magazine or something, he tries to hit a fly, and the fly is narrowly missed because there's a hole in the magazine or something. And so we hear the fly's thoughts, and the fly says, oh my god, it's a miracle, I must be the chosen one, and he flies out the window and a bird eats him. That was fucking funny, man. That shit was awesome. Only part of the movie was those two things that were great. Everything else was crap. So then we get our hero's journey. So he goes to Buckingham Palace, and this
not Buckingham Palace.
Unbelievable. And they go in there and they kick out all these nobles and there's fucking animals everywhere. And it's supposed to be ridiculous. It's supposed to be like, oh my god, these British, like, snuffy dudes are getting, they're getting shitty because there's animals everywhere. But it doesn't play that way. It plays as there's a bad guy, Michael Sheen, not the other guy that I thought it was. I thought it was Simon Pegg, man. It looks just like him. So, Michael Sheen, who is the bad guy doctor. He's like the rival of Doolittle. So tell me about, him and how we get onto the boat. It takes 50 fucking minutes to get on the goddamn boat, John!
So they never even really established, honestly, why Michael Sheen's character is the evil doctor. We just get there, and he's in the room with the queen, who's, just taking a snooze. And he's like, oh, I'm going to give her these leeches, and it's going to circulate the blood so it poisons her faster. And that's the only explanation, because then you have the little general that's with her, or with him, and he's like, oh, there's no way we can allow her hair to be the queen. She's only 11. So we need to kill Doolittle.
Yes, what?
Why?
And that general guy was supposed to be the big bad, and the doctor was kind of like his cohort, because at the end of the movie you find out that the general, that was supposed to be like a swerve, like, no, the general, poisoned her, not the doctor, because it was obvious the doctor did it.
Yeah.
But he didn't? I don't know.
No, the general did.
I don't know.
The doctor just helped out. But this scene gave us the first of many really stupid storylines where Doolittle starts talking to an octopus that is, for some reason, in a tank. And he talks to the octopus and says, hey, what'd you see in here? And the octopus responds, snitches get stitches. And I'm like, what?
This is one of a million jokes like this where we get a 2020, well, not even 2020, like a 2004 joke. Back when John Cena was on top of WWE, that kind of joke is what we get right here in many, many times during this movie. This movie is so dated and awful in the worst way. I hate it.
And then immediately after that line, we get the duck shooing everyone out. And she says, do you not understand the words coming out of my bill? And I'm like, what?
So, a reference to Rush Hour?
When did Rush Hour come out? 1999?
And because she's like the only black character in the movie, that's the only thing she can say is something that another black character in another movie said years ago? Fuck you, movie. Fuck you in your fucking ass. This is where I don't know what to say, because this is where shit gets awful, and like there's no redeeming factors anymore. It's terrible, right, John? I mean, like, are you on the same page with me here? Because this is terrible.
I am, but I'm laughing because it was so bad that, like, so from here, Robert Downey Jr., Dr. Doolittle gets on a boat, and he starts sailing off, and he sends the little boy home. He says, hey, you're not my kid, you're not my business, you can go home. But then the giraffe somehow finds the little boy's house and abducts him, and he doesn't tell his parents where he's going. He just leaves, and they run.
Where did the fucking giraffe come from, either? No idea. All of a sudden, there's a giraffe character with a fox on its head talking to our main character that's a little kid going, oh, we're going to get you on a boat, and they fucking throw him off a bridge into the boat like 100 feet in the air.
Yeah, and then the Lonely Island boys are on the boat, and they're like, I'm on a boat, man. I'm going fast, man.
Okay. Let me fix this for you, okay? Let me fix this scene, okay? He's a stowaway on the boat. Fixed! Okay?
Well,
but no, we have to have this ridiculous action scene, right, John?
Well, it's because we already had him as a stowaway to get into Buckingham Palace.
Okay, so we've established that as a character
like
thing that he does. Okay, see? So, instead...
You were really fired up about this.
I'm so fucking pissed off. This movie is awful. I was angry in the theater. I'm angry now. So instead of just him being a stowaway and that's what gets him on the boat, we have a full-on action scene. It's absurd. And it's on the level of Legolas sliding down a fucking trunk of an elephant to, like, shoot 100 people with a bow and arrow. Get a kid on a fucking boat! God damn it! So... once they get on the boat. We have Dr. Dolittle having this bizarre character moment that's completely out of place, and is this whole boat thing fucking pisses me off. So here's what happens, all right? They get on the boat, and he stares wistfully into the night, and he remembers his girlfriend that died. And the little boy goes, "Hey, what's up?" And he goes, "Oh, nothing." And then they move on to the next scene.
Well, you're skipping over the very important part of when Doolittle and the parrot have a sexual encounter, pretty much, where she starts.
What the fuck is
There's
this?
obviously sexual chemistry between the parrot and Doolittle.
Because he doesn't want to help, and the parrot's like, "You have to, or I won't suck your dick anymore."
I won't nibble on the hair that's
What the
around your
fuck?
ears. I won't give you a trim, if you know what I mean.
Yikes. Okay,
and so from here we go sailing on the open sea until the other doctor is now on a boat.
yes.
Coming after them.
Right, and okay, this is where, okay, so we get the bad guy on a boat, and he's got a steam engine, which is actually, this could be a cool thing, because, you know, Doolittle's a naturalist, and he has the wind is what's moving his sails, right? And then we have this big dark ship that's coming, and it's coal. So why didn't we get a scene of guys shoveling coal into the fucking fire, you know what I mean, to fill the belly of the evil? I mean, this could have been a cool thing, where you have this, like, you know, the Industrial Revolution versus the naturalist. I mean, that was an idea in one of these scripts before 300 rewrites. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of those 5 people would have came up with that idea. Guys, I just want to note for the audio, Andy literally has a grimace on his face.
I'm very angry. I'm so angry about this movie.
Well, let's keep fast forwarding it. So
okay, well, I have to get angry again, John, because of this jump that they do. So the bad guys start shooting at him. They have this ridiculous fucking action scene where they call whales, right? John, tell me about the whale scene.
So they have a monkey and like a leopard playing some musical instruments up on the boat that calls to the whales underneath the water, and it gets their attention, so it comes. And so John Cena, the polar bear, and Downey gets in his scuba suit, which I don't know where he got a scuba suit. And so they jump in the water and they latch on this harness to a whale who is going to now pull them further along to put them in like hyperspeed.
John, do you know what scuba stands for?
No.
Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, okay? This was not a scuba suit because it was just a fucking rope tied to a globe over his head.
There was no oxygen tank.
No, he would have died immediately. And then there were many scenes where he was falling through the water at like a breakneck speed, which would have given him the bends and he would have died. So
I am completely aware. I saw another great film called Underwater.
I haven't seen it yet, and I don't even know what it's about. So.
They are 7 miles deep underneath the ocean.
You can't fuck around under there, man.
Until they drill too deep into the planet.
Yikes.
And a monster comes out.
Oh my god, like a kaiju type thing. Huh?
Yeah.
It's Cloverfield 7.
It could have been, honestly.
That second Cloverfield movie? Fucking awesome.
10 Cloverfield Lane?
Yeah.
Great.
I love that. I love that actress, whatever her name is. Like, someone, she's awesome. Okay, so this is where we get the stupidest part of the whole fucking movie, all right? The part where I blinked and all of a sudden they were on an island. Okay, I am not kidding. I am not kidding. Here's what happens. They're on this boat. They've left the bad guy in their dust, but he goes, "I know where they're going." Somehow. I don't know how he needed to follow him before, but now he fucking knows how they're going.
He knows.
And we forgot, we're going to talk about the stupid journal and all this bullshit because we got a MacGuffin that we need that doesn't even play a part in the whole fucking movie. Anyway, so this is a part that makes me more angry than I think anything else in this movie. I'll try not to yell. And that is that we get this, all of a sudden, they remember the girlfriend died like in a storm, right?
She did.
Okay, so a storm starts to happen. It breaks off the mast, like the fucking ship gets struck by lightning.
It does.
And they're like, "Oh shit, what are we gonna do?" And I'm not kidding. They cut to all of a sudden they're at some island. The skies are clear, and we have a whole. They just drop it.
I kind of thought that I had fallen asleep maybe at this part because I've been known to fall asleep in movies and kind of jump like plot scenes, but I did not fall asleep during this, and I was also quite confused. But
so sad, John. How could they let that happen? How could they put a movie out and think that that's okay?
Well, I think that the scene was there until the fourth writer on the team was like, oh, we don't need to explain that. Let's go to the next scene.
This is already 6 hours long. Let's just go ahead and cut it.
Let's go.
We don't need any of this shit. The other problem with this movie is there's too many characters. There's a million characters. All the little animals have a little scene where they get to make a joke and do the thing, you know? And we get introduced to even more animals because we go to Antonio Banderas' Bandit Island where it's all bad guys, which, by the way, they're all just like Syrian-like type people. They have like scimitars and they're like, Middle Asian or whatever you call that. And it's like... It's like racist as fuck, all right, first of all, because they're all bad guys, right? And second of all, this guy hates Doolittle. Why?
Because Doolittle stole his daughter from him.
But they loved each other?
They did love
and they
each
were all
other.
like good people? And she looked like she was white every time they showed her.
Well, we don't know what the mother looked like. She wasn't around. It's a Disney movie.
Well, they didn't even say, did they? So, Antonio Banderas is basically guarding a MacGuffin. The MacGuffin is the woman's journal. Lily is her name, by the way. Lily Doolittle, his wife that died. And so, they have to get this. And they get immediately captured. And
it's because, they break into his room, and the dragonfly at this point tells us, watch out, he's surrounded by a lot of cats. Which I immediately was like, oh, he's got so much pussy in that room.
Pussy joke, sweet.
Well, and this is after we got a dick joke from the dragonfly.
We did.
Where the ants were like, well, she's dating a scorpion now. And he's like, oh, has he got a bigger stinger than me?
We're talking to ants. We're out of nowhere. This is, you may think that this review is disjointed. This is what the movie's like. You're just like, okay, a storm. Oh my God, we're on the side. We're talking to ants. Oh my God, pussy joke. What the fuck? That's what this movie is. Oh!
So, homeboy slides through the pussy and is able to find a secret stairwell that he is able to access with his eye, which is not an eye that's like, known to the system.
There's a magic way to get into this doorway, and it's the little boy who's never even been to this thing.
It's just anybody's eye, I guess.
He wasn't even born, you know?
Right. So he makes it down the stairs, he gets the journal, and then he gets caught in a trap. And so Doolittle and him get captured, they get thrown in a cell, and then Antonio Banderas is like, oh my God, no. Little boy, come out here. I want you to be my new little thing.
What is this?
And so Antonio, he calls... a lion, or a tiger.
He wants Doolittle dead, right?
He does.
So he allows a tiger to kill him, and then he goes and has a party.
He does. With the little boy who just tried to steal the journal and who is best friends with Doolittle. And then there's like a rabbit in another cell that's talking to him like, oh yeah, you're going to get what's coming to you,
There's
Doolittle.
a rabbit locked up in a cell that has an eye patch. The rabbit is the size of a rabbit. It can eat. It's standing in the middle of the fucking bars. It could walk right out, and it's there talking shit to Doolittle. What in the fuck, movie?
My boy's about to come eat you, Doolittle.
And so like he has the rabbits even take it. He like when Doolittle defeats this fucking lion or whatever because the gorilla comes in, completes his arc right there. We got another fucking 50 minutes of the movie left. He completes his arc by defeating the other lion, and and then we find out the lion's got like problems and all this shit. Doesn't matter. Point is that the hare makes this joke. I had 50,000 on him. So who are you betting with? Wait, 50,000 what?
You don't know.
Fuck you, rabbit.
Have you been in prison?
No, thank goodness. I'm going to be in prison, and I'm going to go kill those 5 writers or whatever that made this movie is what I'm going to do.
And then you're going to be in prison after that.
It's fine. At that point, I'll put 50,000 on whatever. So
yeah, well, and then you're going to know who the bookie is. So Doolittle and the gang, they get out with the journal because somehow the little boy sneaks back down to through the pussy trap and gets the journal.
Hey, I laughed a little. Okay, I'm sorry I'm being so angry. I hope this is entertaining for you guys that I'm so fired up about this stupid, shitty movie.
And I'm just laughing at you.
It's bad.
So they get the pussy journal, and they go down the stairs, and then Doolittle tries to wave him off, but it's too late. The other doctor's there, and they have captured everyone.
Another major issue with this movie is they're being chased by basically, like all the guards and everything, and those guys just disappear all of a sudden, and the British guys are there all of a sudden. They're like, "Oh, we got you, we're gonna get you," and the guy who's like, "I can't wait to kill Doolittle, I want to kill him," they just leave him there,
Well, so he wanted to kill him, and then he realized, no, I need Doolittle alive.
Why?
And then he just leaves him on the shore.
The pier, yeah. And then, of course, Antonio Banderas' guys finally appear out of nowhere. They're, like, creeping, and they're like, "Oh, hey, by the way, now we're good guys.
Yeah.
Here's a boat.
Here's a boat. I want you to go. You loved my daughter.
What the
fuck? You can have this boat."
What changes his name? I mean, he was listening to what they were saying, but they didn't say anything that was like, all of a sudden, I'm going to turn face all of a sudden. What the fuck is this?
Listen, he's the Big Show. It's fine.
Oh, he might as well be the Big Show.
So they get on this boat that has like a griffin on the front, and they don't have the map anymore to get to this island that the tree is at. But they have all these other maps, and they also have a prisoner locked up on this boat.
Yes.
They just don't really address ever again. So they go through all their maps, and they go through all their books, and then they get on kayak, and they are able to find the address of this island, and they go there.
It's a different island. It's not the same. It's a different island. It looks like Skull Island or some shit, right?
Yeah, and so we're worried that King Kong is going to pop out, but we were like, oh, different franchise. And so they get to this island, and they're like, oh, the British are here. So they're, like, camping out. So, like, we're just going to climb this rock around here with all of our big animals, like the polar bear and the gorilla. And then the ostrich is able to climb through this rock. But he's scared. But don't worry, his bro's there, John Cena. So all's going to be all right.
John Cena, who can't stop saying bro in this movie.
Yeah, because that's very 1900.
Now, one thing we forgot to mention when we were talking about Robert Downey Jr. John, can you tell the folks what it was like listening to him talk in this movie?
So he adapted some kind of intellect or dialect is the right word that I was looking for. That neither of us could understand. There would be a few words here and there that I was able to catch, but for the most part, I literally would just like look at you like, did you catch what he said? No? Okay. What was that line? No?
Okay. It was like Bane. In the worst Batman movie of all time, he would say like, "Oh, so that would be him talking. What the fuck are you saying? I have no idea." And some of the words he was saying were things that were like complex and like things that they kind of your main character, the things he says kind of fucking matter in the movie. And the volume was down. Like his volume of his voice was like, "Oh, so what do you mean? What the fuck did you say?"
I don't know. It was very interesting for him to go with this weird accent, and literally no one else used an accent unless they were like born with that accent. Why he decided to use some like totally unheard of,
like Welsh or something. It was weird.
I don't know. It was weird.
It was a poor choice, and it was awful. We couldn't understand him. So they get this fucking island. We get our big showdown, and like earlier in the movie, they had showed like a book that Dr. Doolittle was like writing or something, and it said something about dragons. All right, or maybe it was in the pussy book that you were talking about.
No, the bad doctor had a book on dragons.
Okay,
like Hooked on Dragons works for me.
I don't know how that works, but so we get to this big showdown where they're in this cave, and we forgot to even mention why they're going to this. And the reason is because there's a magical fruit, not beans.
It's like the Eden fruit?
It's the fucking thing from Jumanji. That's what it is.
It did look like the same exact thing from Jumanji.
It's this fucking just magic fruit thing, and it's on a tree that only grows in this place, and they never say, like, oh, this can save the queen. It's just, oh, we have to go get this thing.
We gotta find it. We gotta see if it works.
It's so...
And we learned that Doolittle's girlfriend, wife, whatever she was looking for this tree.
So she was trying to save the queen years before the queen was even sick.
She was just pre-planning what was going to happen.
That doesn't make any sense.
So both crews get there. The British guys have their guns, and they're like, hey, you're not getting that fruit. we are. And then he like hits his staff down. So Doolittle like touches a wall and it starts turning green.
Green.
And we're like, okay,
Not red, green. And
so
he says it's some kind of mold or something like that, right?
So then the bad guy strikes his staff down and it starts turning red and red and redder. And the next thing you know, there's a dragon there. Where'd this dragon come from? It was taking a sleep. It was like the queen. It was snoozing.
John,
And
I don't even know what to say about what is coming up here. This is the stupid...
This is the highlight of the movie.
What we were about to talk about coming up is the John Cena pooping while looking at a baby, like, from Playing with Fire scene from this movie. That's what this is.
So the dragon pretty much chases everybody off, all the bad guys. Somehow the main bad doctor gets thrown down a hole, and then we're like, oh, okay, Doolittle, you saved the day. And she's like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. It's not time right now.
The dragon.
The dragon, yeah, is talking to Doolittle. She's like, don't touch me right now. It's not the time. And he's like, no, baby. I want to touch you. And we're like, what? What's happening? She said no. And he's like, I'm going in. And we're like, what?
I'm going in.
And so, like, the dragon's like, fine, just do it, but be quick. And we're like, what?
So... we get... Okay, so this whole movie culminates in a giant fart joke. I'm not kidding. That's what this is, a giant fart joke.
I wish we could be kidding.
Tell us what happens here, John. I don't even know what to say.
So he finally gets consent from the dragon, and him and all the other animals kind of lay her on her side. And he says, all right, you guys, just hold her paw, hold her claw, whatever you're holding. Just hold something. And
yeah, and the dragonfly wants to fuck the dragon, too, by the way. He wants to fuck everything he sees, so...
Well, he's a dragon. A dragon, you want to talk?
Dragonfly.
And so she, like, puffs some
She catches
fire
him on fire, but then he's fine.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool, man. It's cool. So Downey is at the rear of the dragon, and he just pokes. He does a poke, and she's like, oh. And then he reaches in, like he is like inseminating a cow. He reaches in. That's how you inseminate a cow. With like a really long glove. You like stick it in its
It was
rear.
more like he was birthing a cow. Is what was going on here.
For sure. But it was very inappropriate the way he was touching her.
It was awful.
So he digs his arms deep into her rear, and he starts pulling out different items. First, it's like a skull, and then he pulls out like a shield, and we're like, what? And he's like, oh, I just pulled a big one out. He tells someone to back away. I think it's the squirrel. He's like, hey, squirrel, you're going to need to back away, Kevin. And before Kevin can get out of the way, the dragon starts releasing a large amount of air that it blows Kevin halfway across the cave, and Doodle's there, and his clothes are just flapping in the wind, and then Kevin goes, oh man, I can taste it.
Yep.
And it's a huge fart joke, and he's like, oh wait, we have one last piece to get out. And then he like reaches in there with both arms and has like John Cena come over. He's like, hey, I need your paw. Like, can you get in here? And they pull out. What do they pull out?
I don't even remember. I'm just angry at this
It
point.
is a Scottish bagpipe.
Oh my god.
That starts playing because there's so much gas in it, guys.
That is the fucking climax of the movie, is a giant fart joke and then fucking bagpipes coming out of a dragon's asshole. That's what we're doing in this movie, guys.
And then he tells the dragon, oh, I think we should do a diet of less shield from now on.
So funny. Yeah. Don't eat Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. So.
And Seth Rollins.
And him too. And also, what's his name? Kurt Angle. Don't eat him either. So.
Or Triple H. He was a member of the Shield as well for like a day.
What an asshole.
So he always puts himself over. It's fine. They're like, oh, well, we couldn't find the eaten fruit. We gotta go. And the dragon's like, hold on, I got to trick up my wing.
I mean, the idea was that he was proving to the dragon. Well, one, he wanted to not, Doolittle wanted to not him and his friends be killed by the dragon, but also the dragon was guarding the tree of life or whatever that had this fucking...
Yes.
They call it the Eden fruit, by the way, so there's some kind of Bible connotation that was
for sure.
never followed up on. It's just there. They just call it that. So, it means something. Fuck off, movie, with your fucking bullshit-ass lazy writing with, we'll call it the Eden fruit. Oh, it means it's Eden. Oh, dragon, Bible. Blah, blah. There you go. Fart joke.
So, the dragon, who is now blue instead of orange... holds her wing up and stops a waterfall that they probably could have just walked through.
Yeah.
And right there is the Eden fruit. And so they go, and the squirrel gets it down.
It looks gigantic when he gets it down. It looks like the size of John's head. And then later on we see it's like a little tiny, strawberry.
Slow guy. And then we get an immediate cut to... They are back at the Queen's...
Well, the Queen's about to die, yeah.
She is taking her last
breath. The
breath.
fucking Pope is there!
The Pope's there. All the priests, all the rabbis, everyone in town is there to watch her take her last breath. They cannot wait to see her die.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so, John Cena's polar bear starts bursting through the hallways. I don't know how he got in. I guess his paws can, turn doorknobs.
Magic, John, magic. The dragon should have flown them back. I mean, they're so easy.
She might have, for all we know.
It's so easy. This shit is so easy.
So they all come storming in. They burst down the door, and they're like, "Get Doolittle out of here, and all the animals." That whole kit and caboodle again. But then, this is where we get our sequence that you described earlier, where, Doolittle's being held back, and the little boy, jukes and jives and shakes someone off. And then he starts running, and he starts sliding. And then next thing we know, they give it to a flying squirrel.
They all work together to get this.
They're all in this together. So the flying squirrel, do the one job you are made to do. And so I feel like that was
That sounded like Antonio Banderas. Is what that sounded like.
It did. So they're flying over the canopy, and it gets stuck up there, and it runs, and it drops the fruit. And somehow the little boy's underneath the bed, right where the sheets are at, and then he comes up and
So all these words John is describing, all these things that are happening is what it takes to get the fucking fruit juice in the Queen's mouth.
Yeah, so the little boy gets up and he just starts squeezing it into her mouth. Literally, that's what he's doing. He's squeezing this fruit into her mouth.
Gross.
He just starts, he gets 2 drops in, and he's like, "Oh, this is my first time."
She's instantly fine, by the way.
And she instantly is like, oh, that was the forbidden fruit.
So then she basically orders everyone out of the room. We find out that, we knew this earlier. This actually was decent storytelling here. We had a walking stick or whatever, that bug had been stuck, earlier. Dr. Doolittle had kind of left that guy behind as a spy. So he talks to this walking stick and finds out that not the evil doctor who's in a hole in an island, the general who had one line earlier in the movie and we don't even know what his name is or anything, he is a fucking one that poisoned the witch or the fucking queen. And he also still has the murder weapon in his pocket. So he still has the poison in his pocket. So they steal that. The Pope is ordered out of the room. Get out of here. The Queen is like, everybody get out of here. You too. And the Pope is like, what the fuck? And leaves.
Dr. Doolittle, you stay here.
Yeah, Dr. Doolittle stays there. And then we get our post-credits, our denouement before the post-credit sequence, where they just, everything's great, right?
Yeah, Doolittle opens shop again, and now he's seeing all the animals in town, all the cows, all the heifers, all the horses, and all the king's men. And Doolittle was able to put them all back together again.
There you go. And so that's our denouement. Then we get the end of the movie, where we get these, all of the animals were knighted, and there's it's all the stories told in these pictures, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Even the little walking stick got knighted. But then, John, I told you we hadn't forgotten about this bad guy. I was like, we're gonna get a post-credit scene with this bad guy, and it was before the credits. But tell me about the scene with the bad guy that was in the hole and blah blah blah.
So the bad guy thought that he was able to talk to the animals. He just knew that they were trying to talk to him. Because there was a whale earlier that he was like, "Oh, the whale's waving at me." So he waves back, and then the other whale's like, "Oh, dude, you're flipping him off." And so he's looking at all the bats. He's trying to bat talk them. And I don't want to bat explain you, but that's not how you talk to bats. And so the bats, their eyes light up red, and they all just swoop in and start attacking him, and we assume that he dies by vampire or bat bites.
Yeah, or he becomes Batman. That's Batman's origin story.
Oh my god! Yeah, it is.
So, oh my god, that's the end of the movie. I was speechless after it. I didn't know what to say. I mean, this movie is a fucking turd. Hey, if you're listening to this and you had anything to do with making this, fuck you, alright? Fuck you. This is awful. What the fuck? John, what are your thoughts on Doolittle?
My thoughts are, skip this. Unless you were able to do like a Mystery Science Theater type conversation like we were, where we were up high enough and far away enough that we could just rip on it the entire time. And that made it more enjoyable, I thought.
Yeah, it was.
But overall, it was
fun.
a terrible movie.
God, it made me so angry. Definitely skip this movie. The only good thing I can say about it is it looked great. You know, everything looked great. All the animals looked cool, and like, you know, the CGI looked good. The green screen stuff wasn't blatant. You could see everything looked awesome. The overhead shots of the islands and stuff was beautiful. You know, and even at one point, one of the characters was like, "Isn't that beautiful?" And it's like, "Yeah, fuck you, movie. We know. You don't have to tell us to tell you it's beautiful." You can't make a movie like this and act like it's self-aware. The characters cannot be self-aware and be winking at the camera the whole fucking time. All right? They have to live. I'm not going to believe in this magical, wonderful world if the characters are winking at my world.
Okay.
John?
Okay.
So that's my final thoughts on this movie. Don't watch it. Don't give these people money. This is bullshit.
Yeah, my final thoughts are it's just another money grab by Disney. Disney, I think I read that Disney's putting out 22 movies this year. 22 movies. There's 12 months in a year. So that means they're literally probably pumping out a movie every other week for the rest of this year.
They're all bound to be shit for the most part. I mean, they're going to make a couple good ones, but man, you're going to have to wade through some shit to get to those, you know?
And luckily, I'm here to do that for you.
Well, hopefully, no Disney movies come out with wrestlers in it, because I don't want to see any more of this shit, man. I am fed up, and our next movie has got to be a good one. We may even have to, like, go to a different, like, not go to a new movie or something like that, because, I mean, goddamn,
like
this was terrible, and I'm very angry.
Luckily right now, I don't think anything is projected to come out, because that Batista movie with the, like, My Spy one...
It disappeared, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it got delayed, like, hardcore.
Okay.
Like, I don't even know, like, it's not even advertised anywhere now.
Well, I'm sure Cena's got something in the works, again. And
well, he's going to be in the next Fast and Furious movie.
Cock Blockers #2 or something like that.
I hope so. I liked Cock Blockers.
Fuck off, John. I can't stand it. I lasted like 20 minutes in that movie. I was like, what is this?
You didn't even get to him putting a funnel in his butt and drinking a beer.
No, I didn't get to that. Did he also fart a bunch? And
Actually, he did fart while the funnel was in his butt, and it like went all in someone's face.
Well, this was even worse than I thought. I don't know what else to say about this movie. Don't see it. The people that made it need to fucking be punched in the face over and over again until they realize, oh, you were right. This was terrible.
Yeah. Hopefully, this was more entertaining. This was definitely more entertaining than that.
Yeah. Yeah, them being punched in the face would be more entertaining than this movie? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm saying just hopefully this podcast
is
more entertaining than
yeah, just me getting hot screaming about stupid shit that doesn't matter is definitely going to be entertaining for a lot of people, I'm sure.
I've never seen you get this angry.
Well, I mean, the cool thing about the movie podcast, right, is that we're never going to meet John Cena and have to, like, or Robert Downey Jr. and have to talk to him about the things that we said on this, so it could be 100% honest, and not nice in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, I've met John Cena.
Oh yeah, you did. There's that picture of you and me with him,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, so I forgot about that. That was the other shitty movie,
Fire,
is this the worst movie we reviewed for this? I think it is, right? Playing with Fire was pretty bad,
was on par. I think this one was worse, though.
This one just made me angry.
But at least this had, like, some funny spots, whereas Playing with Fire, I don't think I laughed once.
No.
The saving grace is the scene with the squirrel when he, like, comes back to life.
That's funny. That's like 10 minutes in the movie,
and then the fly that is like 45 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, that's it. And like we did forget to mention that throughout the movie, Kevin, the squirrel, would say like, Kevin's log, which is a Star Trek joke. And he'd say, like, Kevin's log, Stardate, blah, 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 blah. And then he'd say, like, he'd talk about his, like, mission to, like, kill the guy, get revenge against the guy that tried to kill him. But, I mean, even that has problems, and it's like, in weird spots. It's like the director and the writers were like, oh, shit, we forgot to have Kevin say a line. Let's just have it right here.
Throw it in right there.
Yeah. That's what this movie is. We have too many characters, and so the movie doesn't know where to go. It's just being pulled in all different directions.
Very clunky.
Very bad. Well, you guys can follow us on social media. I am
somber.
I am now exhausted and just upset. It's like I've been to a funeral or something like that, and I'm not happy. But you can follow the show at the Road Home FW. You can follow John at JHat05. You can follow me at Drucifer Tweets. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Sayonara.